This is Tammy Van Hollander of Mainline Play Therapy. I have been asked so many times to give recommendations of the books that I love. So get out your papers and pens. I have a big list to show you of some of the things that I love. Many of these books are from the Self-Esteem Shop, where you can get them at www.selfesteemshop.com. I will also list some other great resources at the end. So I'm just going to show you some of my favorite books. There's a lot here because I have a lot that I love. I am going to start for books for perfectionism. I love all the books by Todd Parr. This one is called It's Okay to Make Mistakes, is a wonderful one. Beautiful Oops is a great fun book. This is by Barney Salzberg. Another favorite for kids who have perfectionism, The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes, is awesome. All the kids love this one. This one is by Mark Pett and Gary Rubenstein. The Girl Who Never Made Mistakes. So other ones in terms of for anxiety, which are great. Any of you who know the series of Scaredy Squirrel, I'm a huge fan of Scaredy Squirrel. So Melanie Watt has a whole group of Scaredy Squirrel books in terms of kids who may be hyper-focused or worried or OCD. The kids love Scaredy Squirrel. I also have a puppet of Scaredy Squirrel as well. Another Scaredy Squirrel book. Here's another Todd Parr. All the Todd Parr books are good. He has a family book, which is great for different families. The I'm Not Scared book. This is one of my favorite books. I use this and I have kids do different interventions of it. So his book may be, I'm not scared of the dark, but I'm scared, but I'm not scared. I'm scared of the dark, but I'm not scared if I have a nightlight. So as an intervention, I would have children do their own book and say, I am afraid of the dark maybe, but I'm not afraid when mommy comes and hugs me or when I have my special flashlight. So we'll do different things with that. This is a brand new one that I just got from the Self-Esteem Shop called Jack's Worry, which is a great one also for kids who worry. And we see a lot of children who have anxiety. Okay, where to begin? Oh, in terms of other books by Peter Reynolds. This would also go, I guess, along the lines of perfectionism. The book Ish and Dot. So definitely check out Ish and Dot. These are like my top favorites, Ish especially. These are by Peter Reynolds. And another one that Peter Reynolds does, which is also great for kids on the autistic spectrum, is I'm Here. I'm noticing that these books are all probably backwards due to the recording, so I apologize for that, but you'll still get a good list. Okay, anger. Some favorite books that I have for anger. Number one favorite, On's Anger by Gail Silver. Any of you who have been to any of my trainings, I often use On's Anger, and I talk about some great interventions of On's Anger. The second book that goes along with On's Anger by Gail Silver is Stepping Stones. Excellent, excellent books. This talks about how On meets his anger at home and how he has to sit with his anger. And this one talks about On's anger at school, and On's anger comes to visit him here. So these also incorporate elements of mindfulness, which is just beautiful. Okay, other anger books. This was a brand new one I just got at the Expressive Arts Therapy Conference. Actually, it was the Mid-Atlantic Play Therapy Conference. Self-Esteem Shop recommended it. Dee Dee, thank you. This is a great one. It's called 1, 2, 3, A Calmer Me. And it has a little poem for kids to read when they're feeling upset. So I've been practicing, having kids practice this poem. And it's 1, 2, 3, A Calmer Me. 1, 2, 3, I Hug Me. 1, 2, 3, relax and breathe. 1, 2, 3, a calmer me. So it's a great strategy for the kids to be able to do that and give that good sensory hug to calm themselves down. The Grouchies is another new one that I've been enjoying by Debbie Wagenbach. The Grouchies. Also, these are all self-esteem recommendations. When the anger ogre visits, this is great, and I use this with On's anger, and it talks about embracing anger and having ice cream with your anger and really not being afraid of it. So we'll have ice cream parties with anger and do different fun creative interventions here, and I recommend doing them at home. Okay, where to begin? So, terms of cognitive behavioral therapy, my very favorite book, also self-esteem recommendation. Tiger, Tiger, Is It True? Awesome, awesome book to really teach cognitive behavioral interventions that we have a thought, we can turn the thought around, and then give 3 reasons why that thought can be true. So this is a great way to work with families and children in terms of really changing that negative thought process. I Am Jazz, written by Jazz Jennings. This is the story of a transgender child, and it's a wonderful, very age-appropriate book talking about transgender. For some of the other little ones on feelings, we have Happy Hippo, Angry Duck by Sandra Boynton. Any of you guys who know Sandra Boynton's books, they're awesome. She did Philadelphia Chickens and so many great things. And then there's a whole series of these books. Teeth Are Not for Biting, I believe one is. This is Hands Are Not for Hitting, and it's great for all the little ones. Loss, dealing with loss. Also from Self-Esteem Shop, this was a new one. I have 2 new ones that I love that I got. One is called Rabbityness, and Rabbityness is by Joe Epson. And it is a beautifully creative book, really talking about the rabbit, and there was so much color. And then once the rabbit was gone, it turned black, and then they found the color again. So really just the idea through creativity and grieving and bringing colors back into the world. Todd Parr, The Goodbye Book. This is a newer one of his. It's wonderful, just a sweet little book in terms of saying goodbyes. Tear Soup is a classic in the play therapy world, a great book in terms of dealing with death. This is written by Pat Schweitbert, so you guys could check that out. Put it on your list. And this one I fell in love with. This could be one of my new very favorite books that I also just got at the Mid-Atlantic Play Therapy Conference, called The Heart and the Bottle by Oliver Jeffers. I found this book to be so beautiful, and almost more beautiful for adults to read regarding loss than children. It's just, I can't recommend this one. The illustrations and everything is such a beautiful story of once the loss happened and the heart was in a jar and couldn't get out of the jar, and how eventually the heart was able to be released from the jar. And it took a very long time and a lot of work, but it's a beautiful, beautiful book. Okay, another favorite, which anybody who knows me knows, I always talk about The Invisible String. The Invisible String, I think, is a must for every office, by Patrice Karst. And the invisible string could be used for everything, for death, for separation anxiety, for divorce, for a move, really anything. What it talks about is how we're all connected by invisible strings of love. And it's a beautiful book that I use for probably everything. This book on depression was given to me by a colleague when I went to a training, who now I'm so happy to have met, Catherine McIntyre. And she wrote a book, How Frederick Gets His Light Back. And it's a great book in terms of talking about this little boy who lost his light and how he gets it back. Okay, what to do with an idea, and this is What to Do with an Idea by May Benson. Really, really brilliant book, so creative. And then the second one, which I really love, I'm sorry that these are probably all going to be backwards. What Do You Do with a Problem? Great book. These are such a great way of looking at the creativity and the beauty, and when we have problems, if we embrace them, they could really become so powerful and beautiful and creative. Okay. Social skills, bullying, all that fun stuff that we're dealing with many of our clients or children. These 3 books are fantastic. It's a series by Aaron Frankel. The first one is Weird, Dare, and Tough. I can't recommend these more highly. They're 3 books telling the same exact story, but each story is told by a different view. So Tough is told from the child who's bullying. Dare is told from the child who is a bystander. And Weird is told by the one who's being bullied. And it gives all these different strategies at the ends, and kindness group and courageous group. And it's just, the kids love these. I have kids take them home, and we spend so much time reading these. Okay. Mindfulness, other books on mindfulness. I love Peaceful Piggy Meditates. One of my clients actually took it, so I don't have that. But the other one by Carrie Lee McLean is Moody Cow Meditates. They're both great books, and they also talk about a mind jar. And you can actually have instructions. So we'll read this, and then we'll make a mind jar here in the playroom, which is pretty cool. Divorce. I don't have a lot on divorce, but my 2 favorite ones are Mom and Dad Glue by Kes Gray. I think this is a beautiful one. Kes Gray, it's actually called. Mom and Dad Glue. I love this one. And this one that you could just get for younger kids, Sesame Street has a whole divorce toolbox. And part of their toolbox is a 2-hug day. And 2-hug day is just a beautiful story in terms of having a 2-hug day. One from mom and one from dad when you're transitioning. Okay, I'm going to go back, to bullying. 2 awesome ones. I think there's 1, 2, and 3. This one, written by Catherine Otashi. And here's 0. Also written by Catherine Otashi. I think 1 could be my favorite. 1 and 0. These are just great and really creative in terms of standing up for bullying and done in a really creative way. So these are definitely recommended. Many of you know how much I love rocks, so I just always add Everybody Needs a Rock because I love rocks, and it's a great book by Bird Baylor. Okay, I'm slowly getting through these guys. All the books by Andy Green. These guys are great. The Worry Woo Monsters. There's a whole series, and you can get stuffed animals with them. This one's called The Nose That Didn't Fit, but all the Worry Woos are just fantastic characters that the children absolutely love. The Hurt was one of the very first books when I started a play therapy practice by Teddy Dolensky. Actually, a woman in my play therapy class got this book and purchased it for everybody in the classroom. And it's such a beautiful book in terms of a child who's feeling hurt, whose feelings are hurt, and the hurt turns into a hard red rock, or a hard rock, and then it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger as he keeps it inside. And as he lets go, then he's able to actually have it get smaller and smaller. So many of these books, and many of us who work professionally with children and those who are parents, need to recognize how important it is to externalize these different feelings, and when we're able to do that, then so much more healing is able to occur. Here's another one called There's No Such Thing as Dragons. I think this is a really old one, but it talks about a dragon that's there, and they kept saying there's no such thing as dragons. And finally, once it takes over the whole house until it's finally noticed, and then it gets smaller. This book, I don't even know if they make anymore, which I've always loved, and it's called Hope for the Flowers, a tale partly about life, partly about revolution, and lots about hope for adults and others. So this is just a wonderful one that some of my teens will really enjoy reading. Okay. Trauma. A Terrible Thing Happened by Margaret Holmes is a good one on trauma. But the best book really explaining trauma is Brave Bart, A Story for Traumatized and Grieving Children. This is really a good one that all of you working with trauma should have this book. These I don't use as much as I used to, but I really love these of All Cats Have Asperger's Syndrome by Kathy Hoopman, and All Dogs Have ADHD. They're just really cute books and really talking about the strengths of Asperger's Syndrome as well as ADHD. So many of you know that I am trained as a Nurtured Heart Approach trainer, and I love Nurtured Heart Approach. So these are two of my favorite books that you can get at the Children's Success Foundation, www.childrensuccessfoundation.com. This one's called Nurture My Heart, and it's a beautiful one really talking about embracing children's successes. And there's actually some resources and different words of greatness to build children's inner wealth. It's a great one. And another one is Tell Me About Your Greatness, and this is by Sarah Howe. And it's just, it's beautiful. It goes just through all different things, just for you to see some of the pictures. I know it's hard for you guys to read things backwards. And what we often do in terms of, which was recommended when I teach the Nurtured Heart trainings, is the book No, David. And this is by David Shannon, and it's all really about constantly saying no, and then really being able then to introduce a Nurtured Heart approach and how powerful it is when we're able to say yes and when we're able to recognize greatness. And there's so many kids who constantly feel like they're hearing no all the time. You as a parent may feel like you're always saying no all the time. So this is just a cute little one. I'm about through most of these. And there are some other ones. Oh, another one is Courage that also was borrowed from me. I don't have the title of that. And all of these books are good ones for parents and resources for children. This is probably the most popular one, What to Do When You Worry Too Much, A Guide for Overcoming Children's Anxiety by Don Hubner. Then we have When Temper Flares, When You Dread Your Bed. So I don't use these as much because I'm more client-centered or just do my own creative interventions, but these are good ones, and they're really good concepts, and they're really good ones for parents to have to be able to use at home and then to transition into the playroom. Now this one's nice too, just in terms of going to bed. This was actually written by Darlene Liss. It's called Peacefully Colorful, Beautifully Bedtime. And I love it because what it does is it talks about how kids can fall asleep by just going through the colors of the rainbow. And they think of red and all the things that are red, and orange and all the things that are orange. And it's a great way to quiet their little minds rather than like counting sheep. We all know that when it's time for kids to go to sleep, their minds start going, and it's really hard for them to quiet them. So by thinking of the colors of the rainbow, it's distracting them, and their minds are going, and often it's hard to get to the end of the colors of the rainbow without, and hopefully they'll be asleep. So that's a really big list. This is a really long video, but I hope you guys find it beneficial, and bibliotherapy is awesome, and therapy, having these books for your kids are awesome. It's just a wonderful way to bond and to help them explain things in a non-threatening way that is really creative and beautiful and playful. So shout out to Self-Esteem Shop. Shout out to childtherapytoys.com. I've got some of these from, and Children's Success Foundation for teaching me Nurture's Heart approach. So check me out at www.mainlineplaytherapy.com, and I will list everything else. Thanks. Enjoy reading.